This podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada. Hello, and welcome to Canada as I see it. Hello, and welcome to this week's podcast. You may realize that my voice is in a little bit of a lower register this week, and that means one of three things. James is tired, James has a cold, or James is about to tell you a bedtime story. And apparently James likes to speak of himself in the third person. Well, to tell you the truth, it's probably a little of column A and a little of column B. I'm still quite busy these days, and never seems to be enough hours in the day, and I think that time may have taken its toll on the old pipes here this week. Today is June the 2nd. And it was on this date in 1916, during World War I, that the Battle of Montserrat took place in the Ypres salient. And this battle lasted for 11 days. Now, if the word or place Ypres sounds familiar, it's because I spoke of that actually in my first podcast, back last year, 30 podcasts ago. And the second battle at Ypres was the inspiration for Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae's poem, In Flanders Fields. Now, this battle is any battle not major? This battle was not one of the major ones. There were 4 major battles at Ypres in Belgium, but this one in particular was, I guess, classified as a smaller one, and it is in Ypres, but I also mentioned Ypres salient, and a salient is kind of like a peninsula, but all on land. It's a military term that means the battle, the opponents of the people trying to push through are on 3 sides. So the salient is the forces moving forward, and the enemy, if you will, surrounds the people pushing through. And that is called a salient. Now, I was trying to get an accurate size of Ypres at the time to give you an idea of just how large this battlefield was. And as close as I can figure, it was about 36 square miles in an area, this particular area of the battlefield, and the size is probably a little less than the area of Toronto that I live in. I live in a what used to be a city called Etobicoke. It's now a part of Toronto, and this area essentially is the western edge of Toronto. Now, Etobicoke's size was just under 50, or is just under 50 square miles, and the Ypres salient was about 36. Hopefully that gives you an idea of just how large that battlefield was. Another event that took place on this date was the day that Canada remembered her war dead. And you might think, well, isn't that November 11th? And, well, in beginning in 1931, when the Armistice Remembrance Day Act was enacted, June the 2nd was the day. The day actually began in 1890 as a protest of those who had fought against the Fenian raid at Ridgeway, Ontario on June the 2nd, 1866. Now, this battle pitted about 800 Canadians against about an equal number of Irish-American Fenians, invaders, and it's actually also known as the Battle of Lime Ridge, or Limestone Ridge, and it marked the first time that Canadian soldiers, and led by Canadian officers, had fought on their own to defend Canadian soil. This day was known as Decoration Day, and June the 2nd is generally a warm day when, spring is springing, trees are blooming, and flowers are coming up, and it was a day to tidy up soldiers' graves after the winter and decorate them with flowers or wreaths. And there were also parades of veterans, and generally it was the template, I guess, or the day was moved to November the 11th once the Remembrance Day Act came into being. So, hard stop. Next subject. I went for a haircut this week, and while I had this haircut, I just go in and get it all buzzed off. It's, I always say to the person cutting my hair, that's not doing me any favors, so just cut it off. But this time I actually said, well, just make it nice and neat. And the barber knew exactly what I was looking for. Essentially what it means is buzzing it will just get those electric clippers and, 2 minutes and you're out. But nice and neat sort of implies, I guess, a little more time. And I guess that's what I wanted, was just a little extra time in the chair to sit back, relax, and those who get them, it's just really a relaxing time. But while I was getting my hair cut, I thought back to my uncle, Jim. Now, Uncle Jim was one of maybe 6 people who have ever cut my hair. He was the first one. I have photographic evidence of that. I'll see if I can throw that up on my stories and perhaps my blog, as I did last week, with some pictures. Yeah, so he was the first, and then there was sort of the barber in the neighborhood who would do it. And through the years, 1 or 2 others. But lately I've been getting the same person to cut my hair. And again, as I say, it's just a really relaxing time. But my Uncle Jim, as I said, it got me thinking about Jim. And he passed away 4 years now. He was 86, and he had been cutting hair for 70 years. He began with his father and his brothers, and cut hair for 70 years. He used to live up in Minden, or actually Carnarvon, Ontario, and anyone within, say, 50, 75 kilometer radius would always know Jim the barber. It just got me a little nostalgic earlier. So just before I started recording right now, I looked through some pictures and got all emotional, which wasn't difficult because, subject change, earlier today I watched the movie Yesterday, And this is the story about a British guy who wakes up from a sleep only to discover that the world doesn't know who the Beatles are and have never heard Beatles music. And he sees an opportunity there, and practically everything else in the world is as it was. There are a few things out there that have changed, and I'll leave you to watch the movie if you want to look into it a little further. But the thing about this movie was it just got me all mushy, because I was always, and have always, will always be a great Beatles fan. And just to hear the music being interpreted by him, and yeah, he nails it during the whole movie, and it is him singing, I understand. And the movie had the blessing of Paul and Ringo and George and John's estates. So it was all above board, and apparently getting the rights to all the music was a breeze, because practically, or the company, Sony, who has control of the rights, essentially just signed off on it. In fact, they contacted Paul and Ringo to ask them, is this okay? So a little bit of reversal there. But anyway, the Beatles music combined with my uncle and thinking about him just, got me into a big puddle of goo right now. So I'm a little, not sad. I guess nostalgic is the word. But again, when I do that, you're not really excited. You're just sort of relaxed and feeling kind of warm. And I guess that drops the voice too. Now hard stop. There, a lot of Britishisms this week. Yeah, hard stop. If you'd like to contribute to this podcast, now this week I introduced it, but if you would like to be a part of that, please make a recording of yourself any way you want to, and I would like you to say, this podcast is produced by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada, and send that to me any way you'd like. You can email it at asiseeit@warpole.ca. That would be great. Another thing about the podcast, see, tangents all over the place this week. Another thing about the podcast was I'd like you to let me know how you listen to me. Now, I get all sorts of data and, information about possibly where in the world you're listening. But in this atmosphere of VPNs and, you can hide where you are. I don't know exactly. But if you could let me know, again, at that same address, as I see it, at warpole.ca, and let me know where you're listening from, city, if you'd like, or, well, country, I pretty well know, but city, that would be great, and how you listen. Because this week, some of the information I got listed one of the podcast platforms that I added several weeks ago to hopefully widen the audience, and it was just a neat little surprise, because usually people listen through the website or through Podbean or a browser if they go to my own website, warpole.ca. Never give up a chance to promote warpole.ca. And anyway, yeah, let me know, because it would be really interesting to find out where people are. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble this week. Hopefully, well, no, maybe not hopefully. Maybe you want to hear the bedtime story voice. If you'd like to hear the bedtime story voice, send me a message. Yeah, you heard the address several times. Send me a message, and I'll see what I can do about that story. But yeah, if you like the lower the lower voice. I can always do that for you. Thank you so much for listening, everyone, and we'll talk to you next week. And that's a part of Canada as I see it. It is written and produced by me, James Warple, and brought to life by the Fireside Chat Club of Canada. Our theme song is Night Owls by Braden Deal. If you have any questions or comments, please email me at asiseeit@warple.ca. Join us every Sunday for another episode of Canada as I See It.